Good morning. I'm Bonnie Gardner. I'm co-chair of the Public Affairs Forum of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin. Our forums are most Sundays at noon and are free and open to the public. We encourage you to attend. For more information about our forums, you can go to our church website at www.austinuu.org. Our mission is to nourish the mind and the spirit and to always serve social justice. So today I'm going to introduce Douglas Bauer, one of our forum committee members, and he will introduce today's speaker. Douglas?
Thank you, Bonnie. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce Vincent Harding, who is the current chairman of the Travis County Democratic Party. Vincent was originally from the Houston area, and he became the first member of his family to graduate from college when he graduated from the University of Houston. He continued on as a student at the Texas School of Law, where he graduated from there. Upon moving to Travis County, Vincent got immediately involved in serving the homeless communities and volunteered with Feed My People and with Mobile Loaves and Fishes. And I want to add that if you look at our banner up on the wall there, it says, "We gather in community to nourish souls, transform lives, and do justice." And I think Vincent's clearly doing part of that now. This work inspired Vincent to increase his political involvement because Democrats have championed the cause for the least of these, those that have been forgotten and fought against inequality. And a couple of other things I want to say. Vincent's the youngest person ever elected to serve as the chair of the Travis County Democratic Party, and he's also only the second African American to hold this position. In addition, Vincent's the chair of the City of the Austin Board of Adjustment, a Caritas Advisory Board member, and a Community Advanced Network Community Council member. So he's very busy. Vincent's an attorney. As I mentioned earlier, he's graduated from the University of Texas School of Law and also a real estate agent. Vincent has served more than 2 years as the Travis County Democratic Party Secretary, is a former legal intern at the Travis County Juvenile Public Defender's Office, and he's worked for Senator Kirk Watson in the past, who has been his mentor. So now it is my great pleasure to introduce Vincent Harding, who's going to talk about the current status of the Travis County Democratic Party and its future. Please hold me to thing.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Douglas and Bonnie, for the invitation to be here, and thank you all for being here in attendance. It is so great to talk to a room full of people interested in making our community better. It is a true honor for me to be here today at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin. As Douglas said, my name is Vincent Harding, and I'm the chair of the TCDP. Today, I will be talking about the current status of the party, as well as its future. Now, when I walked in, I noticed this very inspirational purpose for this church. We gather in community to nourish souls, transform lives, and do justice. This reminds me of one of the scriptures that the late Martin Luther King Jr. used to read a lot, which says, "But let justice run down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream." This is a very powerful verse and should be our goal, justice and righteousness for all. Now, I am the grandson of a Baptist minister, and we are in church, so please forgive me at times if I sound more like a preacher rather than a politician. So can I get an amen? Amen. I have been the chair of the TCDP for a little less than 50 days. It's been a whirlwind. When I signed up to run for this position, I knew that it was unpaid. My wife knew it was unpaid. But I never knew exactly how much work it would be. I guess you get a lot more calls as chair than you do as secretary. My predecessors made the chair position look very, very easy. Jan, Andy, and everyone else did such a great job. But let me tell you, it has been a lot of work. But this work I am very passionate about, and I'm very happy to do. You see, I have felt the call to service for a long time. And when this opportunity presented itself, I turned to prayer to explore my thoughts. And then after consulting with my other higher power, my wife Megan Harding, who is here today, I decided to seek this position. I was elected by the County Executive Committee, our precinct chairs, to fill the unexpired term of Jan Soifers. Jan stepped down to run for district judge after Jelenowski decided he would not seek another term. She has left really big shoes to fill. But with every great challenge comes great responsibility and also great opportunity. Make no mistake about it, the reason the Travis County Democratic Party remains the blueberry in the bowl of tomato soup is the hard work of so many people, including many of you in this room. The secret to our success is all of us, our party chairs, our staff members, precinct chairs, activists, volunteers, environmentalists, unions, our faith community, and organizers. This party would not be what it is without our great elected officials. Let me brag on them for just a second. They don't only walk the walk in the legislature. They walk the walk in the community. They walk the walk when it comes to donating to the party and helping us to be strong and have a great infrastructure. Without the hard work of those that came before me, I knew I would not be in the position today that I am. So I'm extremely grateful for their sacrifice and all that they have given to allow me to stand here. So, I am very humbled and excited to leave my own mark on the Democratic Party. I want to focus on servant leadership and bring a new kind of politics to the party. I want to continue to make the TCDP a model for the rest of the Texas to follow. I want to continue the tradition of what we do well in Travis County, coordinate amongst our Democratic allies. The coordinated campaign is a model for the rest of our state. In fact, we are working very hard with the state party to try to run a coordinated campaign statewide. We believe we are better united than when we are divided. We know we are strongest when we come together. The key to our success has always been unity and involvement. By everyone doing what they can, our model can continue to grow. So I need your help. I need you to get involved. I need you to get your friends involved. That's the way we make our community best, is when we all come together and do something. Your commitment is critical. The only way we are successful is when we each commit cycle after cycle, year after year. Now, I know most of you in this room, but there may be some that do not know me. So before I go any further, let me tell you a little bit about my story and how I got to the position of chair. I first got interested in politics as a teenager. I was watching a documentary about poor kids in Africa, and it tore me up on the inside. And I remember breaking out a calculator to try to find out how much money it would take to help feed some of the poorest children in our world. And I remember the number was staggering. And I told myself that day, even if I become a billionaire, I couldn't really have an impact on the poorest people in our world. But I thought maybe through government and through politics, that just maybe I could provide opportunities so that people can take care of themselves, and then hopefully also speak up for those that cannot speak for themselves. So this inspired me to work really hard in high school, which allowed me to go to college and become the first member of my family to graduate from college. While there, I interned at City Hall and volunteered on Democratic events. This encouraged me to go to law school to hopefully try to do more. So I set off for a place called Travis County. I came with $120.08 and a dream to make this world a better place. And as Douglas said, I spent my first summer working at the Travis County Juvenile Public Defender's Office. I really enjoyed this experience, working with young people, helping to give them a second opportunity and investing in their future. What I found out when I went to the Travis County Juvenile Public Defender's Office was that most places in our state don't have that. So I started to look around the nation, and I found out that we have one of the premier juvenile public defender's offices in the country. And what this told me was that Travis County was a special place. That we don't just talk about being progressive. We put our money where our mouth is. We make the necessary investments for the next generation. And we made a huge impact there. And I am honored and I am so grateful that we have Mayor Adler and Senator Watson working very hard right now to end veteran homelessness. They should be commended for all that they are doing. What this shows is time and time again that the people of Travis County are willing to take on big issues and try to make them better. We've done it in the past. We're doing it right now. And I am very optimistic that we'll continue to do it in the future. So, prior to becoming chair, I served as secretary of the TCDP, and it was a really great experience. But becoming chair, I understand that the primary responsibility is fundraising. And since May of 2013, the party has raised and spent more than $1 million. So I understand the large responsibility that I have. So let me talk to you a little about 2014 before I look at 2016. So 2014, the money that we raised, along with the coordination, allowed us to buck the trends that we saw around Texas. 2014 was a disappointing year for Democrats in Texas. But here in Travis County, we actually went forward and not backward. Travis County had increases across the board in Democratic performance of our county. Straight ticket Democratic voting was up. Wendy Davis got more votes than Bill White, and we increased the number of registered voters in this county. These two things did not happen in any other urban county in Texas. In fact, out of the 254 counties in Texas, we were only one of two that saw an increase in number of Democratic votes and Democratic percentages. What we are doing in Travis County is working. We must continue to move forward and work hard. Bill White received 59% of the vote, whereas Wendy Davis received 63% of the vote. We also saw Justice of the Peace Precinct 2 flip from Republican to Democrat. We saw Randall Slagle run an outstanding campaign, and he should be commended for his work. We also saw Bruce Elfont work extremely hard to register voters week after week after week after week, and he has done a great job. This resulted in the voter registration numbers going from 603,000 to over 652,000. So what Bruce has done has been an outstanding job and has impacted us all and has moved us forward. So although we enjoyed success in 2014, we cannot take our gains for granted. We must prepare to build for 2016 and 2018. And once again, I'm going to need your help. We need everyone involved. It has been said many times that Texas is not a red state, it's a non-voting state. We are routinely in the bottom 5 states in voter participation. Texas Monthly recently said that Texas is increasingly a Democratic state. This shows that the Republican Party is increasingly out of touch. Their leadership has been so extreme that people will eventually leave the party. I truly believe that unless we are dedicated to engaging all of our base, whether it be white, black, Latino, Asian, Native American, gay, straight, bi, transsexual, people of all faiths, people of no faith, unless we're inviting them to the table and engaging everyone, we will not turn the state blue. So we must continue to work hard. As we saw at the Capitol earlier this year, when we don't have people in there that reflect our values, there are consequences to those votes. You know, the Republicans like to talk about faith so much, but when they cut funds to education, will not expand health care, turn back time on civil rights, and refuse to ensure women are paid the same amount for the same job, I call hypocrite. You know, Scripture says, "So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you." So this sums up the law and the prophets. Many people consider this to be the golden rule. This is something my parents taught me at a very early age. Maybe the Republicans think they are following the golden rule, but when they took the actions I described above, I most certainly do not think they are following the golden rule. In fact, the Republicans play politics so much with people's lives, they ordered HHSC to cut $100 million over 2 years, which would have impacted therapists' ability to provide services to disabled children. In fact, these cuts would have impeded about 60,000 children from getting the needed speech, physical, and occupational therapy that they need. In response to public outcry, including from some Republicans, these cuts have been reduced. But think about that for just a minute. The Republicans care so much, or care so little, about people and when they make their decisions, that it has become acceptable to make decisions that have catastrophic results without blinking an eye. We cannot have that. Texas deserves better. Our kids deserve better. Barbara Jordan once said, "The imperative is to define what is right and to do it." And I plan to do just that as chair of the TCDP. I plan to lead with an emphasis on people first and ensure that everything we do is principled. Looking toward 2016 and beyond, I want to have the most inclusive Democratic Party. I want to have a broad tent where everyone belongs. Our party is strong when we engage those individuals that have never voted before. Allow them to be a part of the political process. Empower them. But a major part of expanding the base is also protecting the base. And I want to make sure that we stop the Republican invasion west of I-35 as well. 2016 is a very crucial year for Travis County. We have the opportunity to elect a Democratic judge to replace a Republican judge. We have the opportunity to elect a Democrat for County Commissioner Precinct 3. And we have the opportunity to elect progressives, the City Council District 6 and 10. Additionally, we have the opportunity to help Texas move forward to put us in a better position to run statewide in 2018. I believe we move our party by having an east-west strategy. I'm going to do the following 5 things. Now, let me flip my notes over. My wife said maybe I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try to up Senator Cruz and Governor Perry on my list of things. So let's see if I can do this. So number 1, I'm going to fundraise. Number 2, expand the base. Number 3, empower our precinct chairs. Number 4, community outreach. And number 5, coordinate. So, number 1, fundraise. Jan was an outstanding fundraiser. In less than 2.5 years, we raised over $1.1 million. The philosophy I learned from Jan is that you ask for money, you ask again, and then you ask for more money. So I am looking forward to continue to ask people for money. And with that being the case, if you are not a sustaining member to the TCDP or you're not a member of our finance council, we would love to have your financial support. You can join our team at $10 a month and be a sustaining member. Or maybe you're more blessed and you can give $84 a month and become a member of our finance council. So we have monthly donations that come in, and then we also have our large events. Our events such as the Johnson, Vincent, Richards Dinner or the Trio of Stars, and we would love to have your support as well. Number 2, expand the base. In 2010, Laura Hernandez, Crystal Villagrán, Jim Wick, Andy Brown, and Rachel Torres did an outstanding job on the Precinct 21 project. It was recognized nationally. We reached out to voters that had not been involved in the political process, got them to be involved, and we saw, once again, Travis County lead the way statewide. We followed this model of engagement in 2014. I believe if we are ever going to win in Texas, we have got to increase the math. We have got to have people that have never voted before to start voting. That's the only way we can increase our margins high enough for the rest of the state to follow in. So I want to continue to engage the voters that have never voted before, but I also want to make sure that we focus on persuasion and we don't give up any territory west of I-35. And I do want to make it clear, as I said earlier, 2010, Bill White got 59%, Wendy Davis got 63%. So despite what some may say, Travis County is actually more Democratic today than it was years ago, and I'm very proud of the work that we've been doing. Number 3, I want to empower our precinct chairs. I want to give them the tools that they need to be successful. 2 weeks ago, we had a retreat with over 50 of our precinct chairs there present. We had a group about a number of issues. What was cool, really, really cool, was that we met more than a year before the election in 2016. This shows the level of commitment that we have in Travis County. Chairs have come and gone, staff have come and gone, our precinct chairs have been there year in and year out, and they deserve so much credit. If you're in here today and you would love to join us, we could use your help. So if you want to roll up your sleeves and do some of this work of organizing, we would love to have you join our team. Just contact our office. Number 4, community outreach. I am proud to have been part of the administration that took stances on race, on policing, on immigration. I think it was time for us to do this, and I'm proud that we did it before it was popular. Before President Obama acted on immigration, we took a stand on immigration. Before Ferguson happened, we took a stand on policing. I'm proud that we had the courage to lead, even when it may not have been as popular nationwide or even locally. I'm proud that we've had community conversations on this issue. Most recently, according to one report, we had more than 700 people at our last community conversation talking about the issues of race and policing. We saw people that we have never seen before in the political process. In fact, when we went home, we had over 300 new emails that we have never had before. This is how you engage the base, talking about issues that matter to them, not only during election season, but out of election season as well. And we are going to be having another conversation, actually tomorrow night at ACC Eastview campus. We're going to have a conversation on immigration. We're going to have a great time. We have a 3-part program. The first part will include activists. The second part will include... I think my mic went out just a little bit. Okay, we're back. And the third part will be a share's forum. It'll be moderated by the Austin Chronicle. So we're going to have a great time. Our elected officials will include State Representative Eddie Rodriguez, Councilmember Greg Cassar, Constable Maria Conchola, as well as AISD School Board member Paul Sedania. So we're going to have a great time. We hope to see you there tomorrow night. And then additionally, I want to make it clear that we've had these community conversations east of I-35, but I want to have them west of I-35 as well. So we are getting together with our messaging team. We're reaching out. If you have any ideas or any topics that you think we should be talking about, please send me an email at vincent@traviscountydemocrats.org. And then number 5, coordinate. As our executive director, J.D. Gins, always says, when we coordinate, we win. He is so right. We must work together and ensure that every dollar is spent wisely, that we do not have duplication of efforts, that we are good stewards of our money. This is how we move our community forward. This is how we will move the state forward. But ultimately, it's not about who the chair is or the staff, although they are important. It's about the commitment to maintaining the institutional strength of the party, year in and year out. So many people have poured countless hours into planning, fundraising, engaging the community, walking, knocking on doors, making phone calls. They are so outstanding, and they are why we are so great. It's not just the people on stage, but it's our community that makes it great. So if you have not heard, I'm excited that our core leadership team, the people that we have had since 2014, will be staying on board with us as we move forward to 2016. It's so important that we have continuity. While we were going forward, other people were going backwards. And a large credit to that has to go to our generous supporters, allowing us to fundraise the money so that we can keep the staff. And I have to send a special thanks to our Senator Kirk Watson, who actually has given over $150,000 to the Travis County Democratic Party in the last 3 years. He should be commended. So let me brag on our staff just really quickly. We have J.D. Gins, our executive director, since May of 2013. He's worked very hard, the strategy, as well as the day-to-day operations. He brings a ton of campaign experience. We also have Cindy Flint, our operations director. She showed up during the hearings on House Bill 2 and has stayed with us. She has been indispensable and is still indispensable. We have Joe Desautels, our communications director. He has done a great job, and he has been actually our longest staff member. He was worked under Andy Brown. He did a great job then. He's doing a great job now, and he saves us a fortune because he does all our design work in-house. We also have Darcy Caballero, who's our volunteer coordinator, who is a full-time UT student, but has helped us with voter registration organizing. for a long time. We have Doug Snyder, who's also a full-time UT student, who helps us with communications and has hit the ground running. But with this opportunity, we are grateful that we have had the leadership and the fundraising support to bring on new talent to make sure that we can impact the entire community with the large growth that we have had here in Travis County. So I'm proud that we have hired our new political director, Carissa Lopez, who comes to us from the campaign world. She worked the Texas Freedom Network, where she still serves as a board member. She worked for the Texas Democratic Party and a number of other campaigns. So I'm very excited that she has joined us. So when I stepped into the role as chair, that meant there was a vacant secretary position, meaning I wanted to find someone to fill the secretary position. But then also, when I started to think about the team that I wanted to build, I looked around the state. We look at Harris County, or Bexar County, or El Paso County, or Dallas County. All these large counties all have the officer of treasurer in addition to secretary. So I thought it would be a great idea to bring back the office of treasurer to assist with fundraising and financial oversight. So I talked to a number of other former party chairs, and they all loved this idea. So we brought back the office of treasurer. So I'm pleased to let you know that Bianca Garcia was elected by the county executive committee to serve as secretary, and Bobby Comenetti to serve as treasurer. Really quickly about Bianca, she's a native Austinite, former Doggett Congressional Fellow, graduate of UT Law, has a master's from George Washington University. Bobby has been an active party volunteer, has been a precinct chair, is a graduate of MIT, and has an MBA from the Macomb School of Business. She's also a board member of Planned Parenthood and the Asian American Resource Center. So I am very excited that these women have joined our team as well. I think we have the best team in all of Texas. I know I'm biased, but I think we have the best team. I don't know if you all watched the Democratic debate last night, but to me it was definitely more informative and more substantive than what we saw in the GOP debate. The GOP, in its parade of candidates, I don't know how many they have between main stage, the JV stage, and then the no stage, but we keep hearing the same old failed economic policies of trickle down economics. Their immigration policy and rhetoric is offensive. I think the moderators did an outstanding job of pointing out that Democratic presidents have created more jobs than Republican presidents. In fact, private sector job growth since 1961 under Democratic presidents, 48 million jobs have been created. Under Republican presidents, 24 million jobs have been created. That's 2 to 1. I have not heard any policy that will change that whatsoever. And their stances on immigration is offensive to so many people. In fact, the Washington Post said that Cruz and Trump's positions led to an unprecedented meeting amongst conservative Latinos. I expect that Trump's staying power has driven the Republican Party off the general election cliff, and they will not be able to get back up from that, and that we will see another Democrat elected in the White House. I know if we continue to build on what we have accomplished and continue to do what has worked well for us, if we remain committed to engaging unlikely voters, if we register new voters, we can continue to build on our success. It is so important to engage voters early and often, in election season and out of election season. We want to help the Texas Democratic Party find ways to duplicate our success up and down the state. I think the future is bright for our party. We have a strong party because the people have done the work. And when we lead with people and principle first, we will eventually win in this state. As we go into the primary season, one of the most important things is unity. Regardless of who you may be supporting in the sheriff's race or the presidential race, after we have a nominee, it's very important that we come back together and fight for those causes of justice and righteousness that I mentioned earlier. Keeping our party strong and united is something I commit to do. I'm excited about the good that we can do and the possibilities to make things better for a lot of people. The goal has always been to do the greatest good for the greatest number. Travis County has been strong, and I know with the help of each of you, we will not only get stronger, but we will turn Texas blue. So with that, I will open it up for any questions.
Yes, raise your hands high. Okay, we have a question from Dale Beulah.
2 weeks from today, there'll be a climate march in solidarity with the Paris Climate Summit. And young people who realize their future lies in the environment will be there in droves, we're hoping. Yet the Democratic Party is constantly looking for ways to be more inclusive. And I think young people who traditionally are on and off, I think by launching an effort related to the environment would be a great resource to get young people more on board, because we know that the Republican Party denies there's any problem whatsoever. So what can Travis County Democrats do to bring in our young people, our college-age students, to get them more involved and hopefully help our planet heal itself?
You know, that's a great question. You know, you mentioned a really great event. I think one of the things that we can do is to put events like that on our calendar and to ensure that we make those sorts of events priorities, being involved. I think part of it is talking to young people and reaching out to college students. But I also think part of it is being visible. You know, not always just going to ask for votes, but being a part of their community and ensuring that we reach out to them that way. But I think in addition to being visible, being present at events, just continue to educate them about the possibilities that their impact can have. That was one of the most important things for me, is to see, you know, if you go down to City Hall, if you go down to the state legislature, you can talk to your representatives, you can have an impact. You go to your party, you can help elect Democrats up and down the ballot that will have impact on our lives from a number of issues, from health care to wage and everything else. So, thank you.
We have a question from Douglas Fowler.
First, thank you for a great presentation. My question has to do with what are known as value voters. In Texas and a lot of other states, value voters tend to be voters that are defined along very restrictive wedge issues. As you noted in your discussion, the Gospel of Matthew, there's a different way of looking at value voters too, which is treating your neighbor as yourself. How do we as a party reach out to value voters in the state?
So just to clarify, value voters meaning wedge issues. Can you give me, I guess, a couple of wedge issues specifically?
Well, I think real value voters are treating your neighbor, you know, as you would treat yourself, and that refers to many economic issues, pay equity for women, for example, whereas value voters are often defined as things like, you know, gay marriage or women's reproductive rights. So I think it may be a way to redefine that to get those people into the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, one of the things that I want to do is to not concede morality. You know, I think the Democrats, we are the moral party. We stand up for the least of these. We stand up for those that are forgotten. And I think that's something we have to be strong about. I don't think we should be embarrassed about that we care and that we want to love one another, that we want to treat everyone equally. So I think we should push back against the Republican Party that tries to say, oh, Democrats is the anti-God party or things of that nature. So I think, no, we stand strong in what we believe in. And I think when we stand up strong, when we work hard, when we lead with principle, we will move this state forward. And I think we just have to continue to message that and not be afraid to say, yes, we love believers, but we also love non-believers. And I think that's going to be the message of unity that will move this state forward.
And in terms of family values, for example, I do think the Democratic Party has long supported maternal and child health services, etc. So I think that's along the lines of what you're talking about. There have got to be more questions out here. Raise your hands. Thank you.
What's your reaction to this, please? The Democratic Party has put Republicans off us by not offering good candidates on the Democratic ticket. Lots of positions are never even contested in Texas. Is there a plan for that? What should a person do?
So I guess I'll answer that kind of both internally and externally. So in Travis County, we almost always have someone on the ballot on the Democratic side. So I guess as far as people not being on the ballot, that's maybe more of a statewide concern. And I think we must continue to recruit individuals to run in those races, but I also think we have to make gains in the next 5 years. Because what has happened is the gerrymandering has happened. So all of these races, most of them will be won in the primary. So if they're drawing districts where it's 75% one party or the other, more than likely an opposite candidate will not be able to win that. So what we need to do is to hopefully have the courts step in and change the maps between 2020 and or we must do the work to elect Democrats so that when it comes to 2020 or the 2021 legislative session, that we have more Democrats to push back on some of those maps so that the state reflects more of a Democrat as opposed to just the Republicans that at times do not, account for increases in minorities or I've heard stories about things in the valley where a number of people aren't counted as much as they probably should have. So we've seen gerrymandering up and down the ballot, and in fact the court said that the Republican maps were drawn with intent, or not maybe even with intent, but with the impact of disproportionately impacting minorities. So we must just continue to push back on that and try to run candidates where we can. But 2020 is going to be a very important election for the future of the state.
Any more questions? I encourage us to have a conversation here. Well, since I'm holding the microphone, I'll take advantage of that. Peter, did you raise your hand? Okay.
Yes. Several times when Donna Howard has been speaking here, she's brought up a thing that continues to astonish me, that we have almost no white liberal representatives. And I'm not trying to get into racial things, but why is that the case? Or what can we do so that all the whites aren't Republicans?
Well, that's, that can be a loaded question. But I think the Republicans and what Tom DeLay did, he was indicted. So in a way, what he did was criminal. And I think what we have to just continue to do is continue to message and just make sure that everyone feels welcome in the Democratic Party, regardless of race, regardless of gender. What we saw in 2008, we saw Democrats get behind an African American, and we saw it for the first time in our history. But now we're seeing all of the candidates are white, and I'm just as excited about those Democratic candidates as I was for Barack Obama. So I think we just must continue to push our message and our values, because when we push those values of equality and justice, it will continue to move the ball forward. And I think one of the things Republicans have done is have this perception that they are somehow better on the economy when they never have been. In this state, they like to brag about all the jobs they've created, how we're in the top 5. Well, while we're also top 5 in jobs, we've been in the bottom 5 when it comes to health care. I believe there's some correlation to the jobs that they've created in the past not coming with health care, because I don't see how we can be top 5 in jobs, bottom 5 in health care. So those are the types of things that we have to push back against the Republicans when it comes to the economy, when it comes to faith, when it comes to morals. We can't concede those points. We got to be strong. We got to believe. We just got to work hard, and I think we'll move it forward.
I'm going to raise an issue and ask a question relating to a serious problem here in Austin, Travis County, and I think in Texas generally, but it's rather acute, and that is access. We need better access to mental health care. And for that issue intersects with criminal justice issues because we know that a high proportion of people being arrested have substance abuse or mental health problems, and we've seen a number of instances where we have perhaps excessive use of police force and dealings with people with mental illness and substance abuse problems. How is this issue being currently discussed within the Travis County Democratic Party, and what we might do to leverage any influence we have to get our local healthcare institutions to focus more on this issue?
Well, that's a great question. You know, the issue of healthcare is definitely being discussed within the Travis County Democrats. You know, we're going to have the brand new health hospital here. I believe the first class is next year. And there has been a discussion about how do we better serve our community when it comes to health care. Travis County has routinely invested when it comes to mental health. I think what we have seen, though, we've seen basically the Republicans playing politics with people's health. You know, we have the ability to expand basically Obamacare, and they just refuse to do so. It would help out millions of Texans, and that would give some of the resources needed to help provide more care. So I think that's just one thing that we have to continue to do. But then also on that point, when it comes to criminal justice policy, what we've seen is the Republicans continue to have policies that disproportionately impact minorities and poor people. And what we've seen is not only these policies, but we've seen a great investment when it comes to building prisons, when some of that money could be used to diversion programs and investing in education to stop it on the front end. So it's been frustrating to see that money, when we start building prisons when kids are in elementary school and middle school, that's completely unacceptable. We should not give up on kids that early. We should be investing in them. And I think when we can hopefully get control of the state, that way we can invest more money, and we won't play politics. We'll advance health care so that more people can have the care that they deserve.
Dale Beulah has another question.
I wanted to pick up on one of the things you mentioned in your presentation, and that was East Austin versus West Austin. And our listeners may not be aware that West Austin is surrounded by preserved land, and the primary reason many people move to West Austin is because they really care a lot about the environment and they want to protect our air and water. And I think that the Democratic Party is not really known as the environmental party. I think that by having more impact on the issues that affect clean air and water, that Travis County Democrats could make better inroads and maybe get people like Karen Huber back on our Travis County Commissioner's Court.
Well, I guess I'll push back a little bit on that. I would say of the two parties, between Democrats and Republicans, and Democrats, we believe in science, we believe in climate change. So I would say the Democrats would be the party of the Republican Party when it comes to that. I will say we have groups like the Austin Environmental Democrats that work very hard when it comes to environmental issues, and I'm proud of the work that they have done. But I do think it's something that we maybe can do a better job and look at more ways to reach out and have a better impact.
More questions out here. Oh, good. Shirley Weiler.
I went to a meeting this past week sponsored by Keep MOPAC Local, and as a West Austinite, I'm concerned that there seems to be a plan that somebody's put in motion. I was upset, first of all, that they're putting a toll road on MOPAC where I have to come and go from my home, but secondly, that it's going to be, if you've got economic means, you can pay to get in the fast lane while the rest of us, sit in traffic. But more important than that, there seems to be a plan to connect MOPAC with I-35 and make West Austin an alternative route to I-35. Is that something the Democratic Party can address?
Well, I don't know if the plans are 100% set in stone. I was unable to make it to that meeting, but I heard about that meeting and had a conversation with one of our elected officials. That's something we're going to be talking about as we continue to move forward. But as far as any specific position on it right now, there is no specific position. But it is something maybe we could bring up to our county executive committee to see if they would be interested in maybe taking some sort of official position.
Okay, let me come over here. Could you stand and say your name, please?
Hi, I'm Maria Person, and I had a question about coordinating maybe with other Democratic parties across the state, because the depressing thing about living here is, Austin is such a great progressive liberal city, but then you're in the state of Texas, and you might be losing all kinds of rights to the states. There are other cities, and it seems like there ought to be ways that what you've been successful here could be done there. I don't know. Do you have any plans like that?
You raise a good point. From my understanding, is that the Texas Democratic Party hasn't ran a really strong, true, coordinated campaign in nearly 20 years. And that's something that we are working on to try to really work on how do we keep our data so that around the state that we can be on the same page. And I think the only way we can ever move the state forward is when we do come together. So we are having discussions with the Texas Democratic Party about hoping to run a statewide campaign that's coordinated. We've had conversations with Dallas County and Harris County and the state party about doing some of this work. I will say locally that there are a group of Democrats that right now are working very hard in Northwest Austin when you have an overlap of Travis County and Williamson County, figuring out how to engage voters in those places. But also, we have the City Council District 6, and there's going to be a lot of focus and emphasis on that in the next election. So I continue to expect to see coordination between both Travis County and Williamson County Democrats.
I have another question. How can we begin perhaps reshaping people's perceptions of the Democratic Party as one of fiscal responsibility and good stewardship? Because I think there's a stereotype of Democrats as kind of throwing money at problems rather than analyzing them carefully, etc. And yet we know, if we read the papers, that it seems like it's an equal opportunity situation in terms of carelessness and use of money. We have contracting scandals that are going on through many different administrations across time. For example, within health, the Texas Commission on Health and Human Services. So what could we do to try to emphasize that we are very interested in fiscal accountability, et cetera, and to dispel, I think, misperceptions along those lines? Do you think that could go a long way, perhaps, in expanding a participation base?
I think it probably would help a lot when it comes to persuasion. Maybe not with participation. I may be wrong, but I think most people, if they are voting specifically on the issue of fiscal responsibility, most of the time those people are already going to be voting. But I do think we do need to continue to push back on the issue of finances and not see that. So one of the things that has been going on, we have a messaging committee that has been working extremely hard, and they have produced great pages of information that we're going to be using when we have our block walk and outreach, and we have those phone calls to our community. So in addition to the messaging committee, when it comes to the phone calls and block walking, having these community conversations, hoping to likely to get people out to come to these conversations, I think will help to change the dialogue. But we must continue to push back against that. And as you mentioned, HHSC is an example of, what I would say the Republican Party playing political favors. You saw contract after contract, and you see so many issues. But it's just not in that environment. If you take a look at the land commissioner, I believe this year he hired around 55 people without posting any of those jobs. He had to come out within his first year and said he was not going to do this anymore. This is the type of political gamemanship that we are seeing the Republicans use state government for. We keep seeing these corruptions in HHSC, or we saw issues with the land commissioner. Think about the ag commissioner as well, continue to hire political friends at high salaries without posting. So, we just continue to see it time after time after time. And at some point, we just continue to have to message that, and hopefully that the people of Texas will wake up and say, wait, we don't want our tax dollars wasted when it comes to these state agencies. We would prefer to see them invested in kids in the next generation.
Any more questions out there? There must be some. Okay, Douglas.
Over the years, I've done a lot of work in Europe, and my European friends, despite the fact they live in countries where the tax rates are much higher than they are in the U.S., complain about taxes less than we do here. And one of the reasons is they get a lot of services for them. In Netherlands, I remember talking one time, and they said, well, we were talking about health insurance. And they said, well, the country covers that. What about retirement? Well, the country covers that. What about going to university? The country covers that. You were just talking about corruption in Texas, and that turns people off to what state governments can do in a negative sense. But are there things we can emphasize in a positive sense that state governments could do for people?
Well, I guess that's a good question. I would say if we go back to the late 90s, there was a time when people in Texas could work an extra job and pay for college. But when we saw the caps removed during legislative session, we have seen rocketing prices when it comes to tuition rates. And I think that is an example. If we could go back to cap those tuition rates, that would be something positive that our state could do. Additionally, if we expanded health care, we would see millions of additional people come in. So I think there are a number of things that we could use state government in a positive way. We just have to be able to get in the position to do so.
We have about 5 minutes left. I want to ask one more question, or maybe if we can get in 2 or 3, we'll try that. We know that there is a large group of people who are not voting. Have we considered doing a systematic survey of the people who are not voting to find out exactly what are the barriers, whether it's apathy, whether it's cynicism, lack of transportation, ill health? Have we done some systematic sampling where you really drill down and do an intensive one-on-one individual interview with those people as a basis for reshaping strategy?
Actually, our messaging committee is reaching out to hundreds of individuals right now that voted before but didn't vote in an election to figure out those exact things. We can sit in a room and we can try to imagine, why didn't they vote? Or we can actually just go talk to them to find out. And I'm happy that our messaging committee is really working on that so that we can get that information, we can know and use it as we move forward on how to reach people. And then there's also some newspapers. I had a conversation on Friday. A newspaper reporter said he's doing a survey of 400 individuals that did not vote and having this information to find out why they didn't vote. And these are the sorts of things that we're going to use as we move forward when it comes to messaging and outreach. So we're working on that.
Good to hear. Any last quick questions before we wrap up? Oh, okay. One back here. Let me race to the back of the room. Yes, and would you say your name?
Cheryl Coppins. Kind of to tap into your question. So the federal, or the living wage in this area is just under $11 an hour. And when you go to any of the websites to look at what the contribution and the breakdown would be for that cost of living, it shows that even if I make $11 an hour, my taxes that I'm going to pay are almost a little over $2,000 a year. So what are you doing to get to that segment of those people, to get them to understand that those dollars can be spent the way they want if they would vote? What can we do as a community here to be able to help that wage earner?
That is a very good question. And I think what we can do is, individuals that are at or are near the poverty line, to continue to try to have these conversations and reach out to them and the impact it'll have. But I also think, some of the things that we've seen at the city level and the county level, them taking stances on minimum wage issues when it comes to their employees specifically. And we may not can't control the state, but I'm proud that the city and county has taken those stances. But I think we can continue to push those issues from the party, these wage issues, to try to improve the minimum wage. But I think it's just going to take hard work reaching out. I think, I guess not all, but some individuals, when you're right at that, you're so busy with kids, you're so busy working 2 or 3 jobs, that it's hard to reach individuals and to get them to vote if they've never done it before. So the thing that we can continue to do is continue to reach out to those individuals to hopefully inform them about the process and the impact that it will actually have. And I will say we reached out to tens of thousands of voters this last election, and we saw many of them come out and vote. So we just got to continue to reach out to them, and hopefully we'll start to see more and more of them vote.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Vincent, for presenting to us today, and especially on a Sunday morning. I hope we didn't pull you away from your own church. But let's give him a big hand. Thank you.